How's everyone doing? Happy Red and White Week. All right, we love to see that energy and enthusiasm. So good afternoon to all of you who are gathered here today in person and virtually, and welcome to the 2023 Chancellor's Fall Address. My name is Timothy Reed, and I have the pleasure of serving as student body president. As I reflect back on my time as a student here at NC State, my mind is flooded with positive experiences and memories that I'll treasure long after graduation and for the rest of my life. There's rarely ever a dull moment on campus, but without a doubt, one of my favorite times of the year is Red and White Week. In my view, this is one of the most exciting moments of the year, not just because of homecoming, delicious food, and great football, but because of the sense of community and pride that is so tangible when we all come together. Red and White Week not only provides a forum and a space for alumni, friends, and family of NC State to come together physically, but it inspires each of us to reflect on our own special relationship with this place and think about how we can give back in our own unique ways. The personal, professional, and leadership growth that I've observed in myself over the course of my time here truly wouldn't have been possible without the support of all of those who've taken it upon themselves to invest into me and into this institution. Mentors, professors, peers, and donors, these countless connections that I've made along my journey here have undoubtedly influenced the trajectory of my life's path. And I know this is the case for thousands of students across this campus right now. That is such a powerful illustration of the power of connection and community that is present, namely here. Daily, I draw inspiration from this place and all of the creativity, leadership, and innovation that resides within our Wolfpack. There's never been a better time to be at NC State, and even as we look forward to the horizon, the future is looking brighter than ever before. On behalf of all of our students, thank you for being an active part of this community and for enabling the next generation of scholars, leaders, and change makers to think and do at the highest level possible. Now, please join me in welcoming the 14th Chancellor of NC State University, Dr. Randy Woodson.
Thanks. There's a reason they call it the pep band. Good afternoon, everyone. So I figured after 14 years of listening to me, you needed a break. So we're going to give you that today. But thank you for all of you that are gathered today in person and those that are joining us virtually for the Chancellor's Fall Address. And welcome to this year's Red and White Week, our celebration of homecoming. You know, for many in our Wolfpack, this is a time for nostalgia, a time for looking back. For me, looking back means 30, 40 minutes of prepared remarks, and at the end, you all get ice cream. This year, for something entirely different, I'll do it in 10 minutes. And just because, like you can't wait to hear, like me, you can't wait to hear from our special guests. So today's address will include the first ever, drum roll, first ever, wow. All right, that's enough. Wow, that's impressive. The first ever live Red Chair Chat, the series that I sit down with Wolfpack alumni, faculty and leaders and friends to talk about their love of this great university. But don't worry, there will still be ice cream. Yeah, oh yeah. Okay, so yet another reason you've showed up is ice cream. First, let me share a few highlights from this past year. You know, NC State once again set a record for the number of applications to our university. 40,000 students, potential students, applied to come to NC State. We continue to earn more applications from the state of North Carolina than any other university in the state. And a record number of new students joined us on the campus last August. And meanwhile, we're producing more graduates than ever before. Just in the last 12 months alone, we've awarded over 10,000 degrees. And the quality of our students continues to inspire. This past year, we had 20 National Science Foundation graduate research fellows, 11 Fulbright scholars, 2 Goldwater recipients, and 2 winners of the inaugural Obama Chesky Scholarship for Public Service, and a partridge in a pear tree. In 2023, NC State earned, or I should say our faculty and staff earned, $476 million in sponsored research grants, breaking the record that was set last year. Total research and development expenditures topped $500 million for the 6th year running. And those dollars go on. Is Kevin Howland here? He usually leads the applause to get people pumped up. Anyway, so those dollars, as I say often when I'm talking about money, it's not just the dollars, but it's the impact of what those dollars do. Those dollars go on to create new knowledge, new technology, startups, and more jobs across the state of North Carolina and across the whole country. Just this year, NC State Research helped launch 14 new companies, and our Economic Development Partnership worked statewide with partners to help secure capital investments for North Carolina of over $9.8 billion. Our faculty and staff are just the beating heart of this great university, and they continue to excel in their mission. This year, 3 of our faculty were named fellows of the American Association for the Advancement of Science. 3 more received Faculty Early Career Development Awards from the National Science Foundation, and 2 members of our staff will be honored tomorrow by the governor with the Governor's Award of Excellence. 2 of our history professors received National Endowment for the Humanities Fellowships, and 2 more were named National Humanities Center Fellows. Jason Beccaro received the UNC Board of Governors Award for Excellence in Teaching, and Rodolphe Barancu was elected to the National Academy of Inventors Hall of Fame, which he'll be inducted in on Thursday evening in Washington, for his contributions to genome editing technology called CRISPR. Now, 10 minutes is definitely not long enough to do justice to the scale of NC State's outreach and engagement. 10 hours, frankly, wouldn't even cover it. But let me say this about that. Go to any corner of our state, any county in this great state, in any community, and you will find the impact of NC State. From K through 12 summer camps, to our community college collaboration, to NC State Extension, to our industrial extension service. I know it's got a different name now, but it'll always be industrial extension to me. And it's part of the bedrock of this state's success. Meanwhile, we're building new foundations right here in Raleigh. Recently, we broke ground on the Integrative Sciences building. I'm sorry, students, the brickyard is a bit torn up, but it's a $180 million project to unite the molecular sciences from across our campus. And we're excited for the emerging innovation district on Centennial campus and everything that we've managed to cram into our new physical master plan. And if you've not seen it, go online. It's 224 pages, jam-packed with great ideas about NC State's future. Even as I speak, our campus is undergoing profound transformation. In fact, just this morning, walking over, I was reminded of that transformation because the tunnel was blocked. I should have read my email, and I had to walk around as our students do every day. But we've got over $1 billion at play on our campus right now, and we truly have construction projects all over our campus. And it's, again, dollars that are being invested at NC State, more dollars than at any time in our history. And we've done it without raising tuition. In fact, we just entered our 8th year of not raising tuition for North Carolinian undergraduates. I say that looking out at department heads going, yes, I do realize there is inflation, but we're working really hard to transform this campus and make sure that we're efficient and effective with every dollar we get from the state. And it does, so this construction does require some temporary transformation, some temporary construction, some road closures, and I know that. But when it's all said and done, you're going to thank me for it. We are deeply grateful for the continued support of the state of North Carolina, including our Board of Trustees, the UNC Board of Governors, and the General Assembly, which allocated so much resources to the UNC system this year. In fact, the most recent state budget contains vital investments in our university. Too many to detail in full, but they include recurring funds to grow our College of Engineering to match the workforce needs of the state, recurring dollars to support the expansion of our vet school to grow from 100 to 125 students per class, and support of small business and extension, clean energy programs, and a new program in the College of Education to support students with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We also got in this year's budget a $200 million allocation for a new engineering classroom building on Centennial Campus, $70 million toward a $120 million large animal hospital. The large animals have been jealous because the small animals had a new hospital and, okay, bad joke, but this is really critical for the equine industry in our state and also the food animal industry. So the large animal hospital with the remainder of the 120 coming from private support, and tens of millions of more to renovate older buildings and to prepare new ones. This place that we love is changing before our eyes. It always has and it always will. It's just we have a bit more of it right now than we've had in recent years. NC State is renewed with each passing semester and each passing year in support of everything we plan to do next. We also owe our thanks to the wider NC State community. NC State's fundraising campaign may have ended officially in 2021, but last year the Wolfpack family gave more than $235 million in private support to NC State, the second highest number in our history. And the number of donor-funded scholarships at our university has grown to over 4,419, many of which fund multiple scholarships. And each one changes a life, and we all know that. Listen, I have always, since elected as your chancellor, I've always been proud to be the chancellor of NC State. And I've long known that, and I tell you all this, that rankings don't define an institution. And as much as, like many others, I would prefer to ignore this, but the rest of the world doesn't. And so, let me just brag a little bit. Last month, I call it the annual public flogging from U.S. News and World Report. They released their report and handed out the highest ranking ever in NC State's history. Number 60 among all national universities and number 28 among public universities. In fact, since 2017, no other university in the top 100 has climbed more spots than NC State. This is a testament, somebody can clap at that. This is actually a testament to the collective work and transformative power of everything you're all doing for NC State, if you're an alum and a donor, or for NC State as our faculty and staff, or for NC State as our phenomenal students. I began by saying that Red and White Week is a chance to look back, but I urge us all to also look forward. I'm supposed to move now. Something's going to happen, I don't know what. Look at this. That's a little much. You know, the future can be uncertain and often out of sight and sometimes out of our hands. In fact, often out of our hands. But we can prepare for it. And we can help to shape it, and no one knows better than our guest today. The promise of a public university is that we provide the ideas and the tools and the community, we are a community, to help people get where they want to go, even to the far side of the moon. That's impressive. Our guest today is an astronaut who has spent more than 300 days in space. She's currently preparing to venture around the moon as part of the second mission for NASA's Artemis program. And she's a 3-time graduate of NC State University. Please join me in welcoming Christina Koch. Where's Christina?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
It's so good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. See, I told you they were tired of listening to me. So this is going to be fun. I told Christina this isn't quite like Between Two Ferns with Zach Galifianakis, but it's, interesting. So, Christina, you have undergraduate degrees in physics, in electrical engineering, as well as a master's in electrical engineering from NC State. Why did you, and by the way, a graduate of the North Carolina School of Science and Math. And so why did you choose these majors in this university, and why did you choose to stay here for your entire collegiate career?
I did. It's like once I came, you guys just couldn't get rid of me. First off, why did I choose those majors? I always loved the theoretical. I always loved pondering the universe. I loved things that made me feel small. I loved the night sky. And to me, physics represented studying all of those just fundamental things that are universal. But I also love tinkering. My dad and I had what we came to call shed heaven. That's the shed in the backyard where you tinker with everything, you fix the lawnmowers, and I loved hands-on. I loved taking things apart, figuring out how things worked. So I knew I had to put those two things together, and this was a place that both of those programs were phenomenal. I could be close to home. I could, be at a public university, which is meant to support the people that are local, that are North Carolinians, and that have so much pride in this state. And NC State just represented doers, places where entrepreneurship was valued, places where learning that theoretical side, but also building upon it and contributing back to the world was important. And so it was absolutely the right choice for me. I stayed because of what I found here. I discovered things like rock climbing right here at NC State, which was instrumental in my life, running, things that really made me who I was beyond just the academics. People and professors, school counselors that believed in me, great friends, and opportunities. I studied abroad here. That was an amazing transformational part of my life. And I wouldn't have stayed for that long if everything that I found here wasn't so helpful for allowing me to keep doors open and to pursue the things that I saw as leading to a fulfilled life.
Well, that's wonderful. Talk about Artemis too. So you're a mission specialist. I don't know what that is. Maybe these folks do. But tell us about your role in the mission. It's wonderful you were selected. A great tribute to you and everything you've meant these years to NASA, but also a great reflection on NC State. So talk about the mission and what a mission specialist, does.
Yes. Well, the mission is going around the moon, and it's part of the first crewed mission of the new Artemis program. And Artemis differs from Apollo in that even though we're going back to the moon, this time we're going back to stay. We're going back responsibly and sustainably, and we're going to take the lessons we learned there and carry them forward to a human mission to Mars. So it's an exciting time to be at NASA, seeing all these new vehicles come on board, seeing the launches from Kennedy Space Center, and being a mission specialist is, for any other space nerds out there, that's a role that has been defined for a long time In the shuttle program, it was what I always saw myself as because I was coming into it from the side of being a civilian astronaut, as my dreams were. And it's basically contributing to all of the goals of the mission in any way that's called for. So for Artemis, we have some goals to test out the spacecraft, the life support systems. This is the first time that humans have ever ridden in the spacecraft for Artemis, which is going to be called Orion. So we're going to be testing out the life support systems. That includes the exercise equipment. That includes the displays, just so we can know about the spacecraft, have insight into it, and to, all of these other objectives. Like we're going to see if we can turn the spacecraft into a radiation shelter for long duration space flight and, deep space missions. So there's a lot of really cool objectives. Looking out the window is one of the most important things that we can do as humans. We see our mission as humans to bring every one of y'all's aspirations and dreams about exploring with us, and to bring back the perspectives that we hope to gain, looking back at Earth as it will be one small planet in the space of our window, and what does that mean? What perspective does that give us as humans, and how does it unite us? All of those things are rolled up in this role that we see all four of us having, but especially myself as a mission specialist, and thinking about coming back to you all and talking about that.
Well, we look forward to that.
I hope to do it. The welcome I've gotten on this trip has been phenomenal. I walked across campus to get here today, and it was just absolutely wonderful to be reminded of how beautiful this campus is. I didn't need a map. I didn't need Google Maps. I just followed my nose. The exact same sidewalks I used to walk, they were all there. It was really cool.
Well, I did notice a few bricks missing today. So
There were. I didn't have to go through the brickyard, but I did take a picture of it to send to my siblings. I'm actually one of 4 siblings that went to NC State, and they're going to be interested to see that too.
Christina, you set the record for the longest single space flight for a woman, and also during your 328 days on the International Space Station, you took part in the first all-female spacewalk, which was exciting for. We were talking backstage about this is the weird mind of the chancellor, but I can't imagine, because our biological systems are all designed for gravity and for circadian rhythms, the daily cycling of. And that all goes away on a long space flight. So talk about being in space for 328 days and what it meant for you to be the groundbreaking female to have those.
Yeah. Well, thank you. When I think about some of those records and milestones, I always like to reflect back that it's not an individual that does this. These records and milestones aren't about any one person. They're actually about the fact that we collectively realize that when we do this, we have to go for all and by all, and that means representing every single person that is willing to work hard to achieve exploration of any kind, but especially human spaceflight. So to be the person that got to actually fulfill those missions out there was just a dream come true. Something that I hope, allows me to thank the people that came before me, the trailblazers, many of whom I met here at NC State or learned of during my time here. But living on board the space station for that long, it definitely comes with its challenges. You're away from your support system, you're away from all the things, all the creature comforts that you're used to, and you're faced with a new challenge every day. So I like to tell myself it wasn't about the number of days, but it was about bringing my best to every single day. And I'm happy to say, and I continue to say, I can't wait for these milestones to become normal, for the records to be broken. I'm excited that actually next week we will see the next pair of women go out for a spacewalk, since 4 years ago when Jessica and I did mine. So it's just exciting to see us continue to push those boundaries.
Well, it's fantastic for all of us. You have become, and I know you know this, and probably don't like to talk about it, but you've become a role model and a great advocate for bringing underrepresented students into STEM disciplines like engineering. So what advice would you give to someone watching about following their own passion, whether it's becoming an astronaut or living out another dream?
Definitely. I talk about following your passions a lot, and one of the things that's come into focus for me more recently is finding your passion is important, but also finding fulfillment is really important too. Sometimes we think of passion as something burning in the moment, and that can be what starts you out. But fulfillment is that long-term love of contributing, giving back, and finding meaning in what you're doing, no matter what it is. So find your fulfillment is something new that I like to bring to people. I also say, do what scares you. And I don't mean recklessly take risks, but instead of bending away from the things that are intimidating to you, thinking about that's actually your beacon, calling you into what maybe you're meant to do. Things that scare us because they usually intrigue us, but they seem like they're just outside of our reach, or our fear of failure might keep us from moving in that direction. If you actually use what's scaring you as a call to the direction to move toward, you might just find that not only do you reach your most fulfilled state because you're contributing the most, but you're giving the most back to the world as well. And then finally, I say support the people around you. I definitely relied on the support of a lot of people here at NC State, but probably not enough. I was really into, working hard as an individual. And when we support each other, we not only lift our own ships, but everyone rises together. And again, that allows us to give the most back. And I think we also, again, find the most fulfillment in that. Takes the sort of focus off of your own goals and maybe your own check boxes of what you should be doing, but it changes that into what can we all be doing to make this place better. And you'll be amazed at what comes out of that on the other end.
Well, Christina, one of the things that I saw online, that internet out there, y'all are familiar with it? When you return from that record on the International Space Station, there was a video of you greeting your dog for the first time.
She's very
that
famous.
got a lot of attention, but it also was a very humanizing, step in your return, and like all good dogs, remembered you well.
She's such a sweetheart. Yeah. So the behind the scenes of that is that she actually greets everyone like that, no matter who you are.
You say you didn't have to say that.
Yeah, but we joke that if my next mission turns out to be the 9 days that it's planned for, the lunar mission, she will barely know that I was gone at all. But we really put the human in human spaceflight quite often. It's, and it's not just the fact that we miss our pets and our loved ones, but we make mistakes and we move on, and there's a give and take, there's a teamwork, and I love all real human aspects of what I am privileged to do, for sure.
For those of you that don't know, before Christina was selected to be part of the space program, she spent over 3 years in Antarctica and the Arctic. So this person before you has been a wanderer for a long time. So talk about what drives you to do things like that. Those are not typical things in the life of, this audience.
Yeah.
Maybe some of you, but what drives you to explore?
I did have a very unconventional path to becoming an astronaut, and in some ways I'm proud of that because it was a very determined kind of plan to not live my life according to check boxes of what you should do to become an astronaut. And one of those was that I had this desire to explore, this interest in exploration and science on the frontiers that was just always there for me. I cut out pictures of Antarctica maps and had them up in my room as a kid. I had pictures of the shuttle and of Earthrise taken from the moon in my dorm room here at NC State. And those things always drew me in. And so I think the reason I was compelled to, live in places where it got colder than minus 100 degrees and to push those limits was just that I was drawn to it. And I wasn't afraid of hard work. I wasn't afraid of being intimidated. I think that I also looked at owing it to the people that supported me. And that goes right back to here. There were counselors and professors that really believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. And knowing that I owed it to them to give it my all and to go in the direction of those dreams was something that definitely compelled me.
Well, it's an unusual path, but and particularly to lead to NASA. And it's a
Yes.
great tribute to your think and do mindset.
There you
knew
go.
I'd get it in.
Yep.
Huh? Yeah.
Yep.
So we're all curious about what you eat up in space for 328 days. And do they have freeze-dried ice cream?
I'm all 328 days. No, I'm kidding. We actually do not have astronaut ice cream as a standard menu item in the space
that's a
station.
problem that
I
we
know.
need to solve.
I know. I feel like, I wanted my money back when I found that out. Like, really? Why do you think I'm here? No, the food is great. Yeah, it's absolutely wonderful. It's very diverse menu, a lot of freeze-dried stuff. So I enjoyed it very much. It ruined me for cooking because after you just, you open up your dinner and it's ready to go, it no longer do I want to sit in the kitchen and cook food.
Well, we were talking earlier. I'm one of those adults, and there are several other gray-haired people in the audience that grew up in the Tang generation, where we were all watching with great admiration what was going on in NASA. And I know as a kid I was always fascinated by what they ate while they were up there.
No Tang either, sadly.
I know. I think
we need to
moved
work on this, maybe for the moon missions.
You had to miss a fresh fruit or something occasionally.
Definitely, yeah, very little fresh stuff, and also not getting to smell things. I drink my coffee out of a pouch with a straw every day, so that's a little different. That first mug of coffee, getting back to Earth was pretty great.
Yeah, it's hard to, the sensation of
Yeah, very different.
Well, if you had a favorite flavor of Howling Cow ice cream, what would it be? Now, this is a trick question, but...
Right now, today could be my first time actually trying Howling Cow.
Oh, well, that's a problem.
I know. I am hoping we fix that.
I've
heard wolf tracks. I've heard about wolf tracks. I'm a plant.
It's pretty good.
So, yeah, I might have to try that one.
Although, the dean of College of Ag and Life Sciences has a little bit of a competition going on, but that's all right. We're good. So what's your most surprising or unusual hobby?
Surfing.
I know you don't have surfing.
Yes, I'm a surfer. But some people know that. Other than surfing, surprising, baking. I like to bake.
So are you a fan of that British English baking show?
I don't.
Oh, come on.
I don't watch a lot of TV. I've heard of this show, but I don't. I don't sit down very much in front of the TV.
Well, actually, that doesn't surprise me. But so when you were at NC State, it was a different place. Engineering was on main campus.
Yes.
And when we had that round building,
Yep.
I forget what was.
Harrelson. My final class ever here was in Harrelson.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
I walked down the little ramp at the end of it, and I shed a couple tears.
I had nothing to do with tearing it down.
Yeah, no, it's fine. My sister majored in math, so that was the picture I got for her today.
Well,
too,
a lot of students during those years, because Harrelson was such a great classroom. Well, it wasn't great,
Iconic.
to be clear, but iconic. There was this place on the top floor.
Oh.
So you never went up there. You didn't get that high.
I guess not, no.
Well, where was your favorite place to study?
I love studying, if I could manage it outdoors. So the Court of the Carolinas was one of my favorites. But I also would, when I really needed to focus, I would just go up into DHL and find a random floor, like 6th floor, and just walk the stacks. And do they still have those desks with the little sidewalls kind of just at the end of every bookshelf? Maybe there aren't even books there. I need to go check.
We still have books.
Oh, okay, that's good. Yeah, so sometimes I would just get in there and get in the zone. But yeah, if I could be outside on a day like this,
well,
it
if
would
you have a
definitely be.
chance, I know you've been in the Hunt Library
Yes.
since, but you probably haven't seen the renovation to DHL.
I have not.
So if you're over that way, you should. because
Maybe I'll
it's
swing by on my way back.
The
Yeah.
stacks aren't quite what they used to be. So you don't watch TV, you probably didn't watch movies, but all of us are fans, not all of us. I'm looking at Jim Hansen, he's not a fan of movies, but most of us are fans of movies. What's the most realistic movie about space?
Well, I would go with The Martian, But
Wow.
not maybe that end scene, that was, you know, a little much. But, you know, how the problem solving is and how great, like, the teamwork and the NASA aspects were spot on. The other thing was highly non-realistic were the buildings at Johnson Space Center in Houston. Not that fancy. We watched it actually collectively, and that was the one part that every single person from Johnson Space Center laughed at when it came up, was the entrance to our center, because yeah, it's not that fancy.
Was it mission control accurate in Apollo 13?
Well, in Apollo, I mean, I wasn't there in the Apollo days, but yes,
No,
I think it was.
No, but they preserved it.
Yes.
Don't
they
be
did.
starting with yeah. I've been there.
They did, and they just recently renovated it. So it's actually a really neat thing to visit. And they had it preserved, and I've walked around in there. It was really cool. So
Yeah, what's
I think it
amazing to
was,
me
yeah.
in walking around the preserved mission control in Houston is how primitive in today's,
Old rotary telephones, the buttons.
and we
They-
were sending people to the moon.
We were, I know, yeah. They did amazing things.
Well, so it really was duct tape. I mean, so,
Literally.
I'm sorry, I digress. So you grew up in Jacksonville,
Yes.
and, you know, not a small community, but not the larger community of our state.
Yep.
And so how do you get from Jacksonville to, and I know this may be the story of the School of Science and Math, but how do you go from there to being Artemis 2?
I ask myself that all the time. I think one of the most amazing things when I look back is when I was telling people this dream I had to be an astronaut ever since I was very, very young. No one that I can recall ever discouraged me. I don't know that was sound advice, but they encouraged me every single step along the way. And I honestly think it never occurred to me that I shouldn't go for this dream. I had people, like I said, believe in me even when I didn't believe in myself. Counselors, teachers. I had a boss one time sit me down and say, "You're going to do great things one day." And I didn't know what he was talking about. And it's really made me realize how important it is for us to tell that to the people around us. And if maybe we aren't hearing that from the people around us, tell that to ourselves, because it's really true. So those are some of the things that got me here. You're exactly right. I went to this mythical place that I had heard of called the North Carolina School of Science and Math, where I was completely and utterly intimidated so much when I first got there. Everyone there was from really fancy places with really smart people like Raleigh and Charlotte. And I just came to learn that through hard work and getting to know people, I could get through those experiences. But it's honestly, in some ways, it's not just how I did it, it's the things I should have done. I wasn't as prone to gravitate towards teamwork and asking for help and relying on my resources as I now realize is so important. And so luckily I had people reaching out to me and guiding me through that. But it really is a testament to what it can mean for someone to believe in you.
Well, you know, you took some personal items with you up in space.
I did.
I don't know how that works, you know, what you have to hide in your space suit, but I understand that you brought one of those items with you today. And what did you bring back with you today, and why?
Yes, actually, it is here today. My new friend Bryce is I think has it and can bring it out. It's
Here's
aerospace
Bryce.
engineer. And what it was, thank you so much, a flag that was presented to me during a previous visit to NC State before my mission, and to remind me of where I came from and everything that this university did for me. I brought this with me to space, and I even added a piece of Velcro to the back, because that's how you know something has truly been to space. Everything in the International Space Station has a piece of Velcro on it, because that's the only way that you can keep things down and fix them. So,
Is this the flag
Yes.
that was in when we did the interview with you?
yes,
In the space?
yes, I hung it up for the interview as well.
Did any
Yep.
of you watch that interview when she was at? Yeah,
Yep.
amazing.
And it was in the cupola with the background of the Earth. So, yes.
Great.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So when you look back at your time at NC State, what was most memorable?
Wow, so many things, too many really to even enumerate.
Doesn't have to be one.
Seeing.
Did you ever trip on the bricks?
Many times. I'm definitely not known for being super suave. You know, like I said, a lot of things that became really important in my life started here. I started rock climbing here. I discovered that here. A lot of the extracurriculars that are offered here, the gym, the Carmichael Gym, is where I got my start running, which became really important for me. We talked about rock climbing more actually, or maybe as much as we talked about electrical engineering and physics in my astronaut interview. And that started here. My study abroad, I studied abroad in Ghana, and that was a specific program that NC State was one of only a few colleges to offer, and that was by far the most perspective-gaining and life-changing experience of my entire life, right up there with going to space. And that started here. Actually, this room, I had an amazing experience seeing a phenomenal jazz artist here. I think it was Dee Dee Bridgewater, maybe. I'd have to look into that. But she had every single seat in here standing, I think singing along, and just those moments of community were phenomenal. I really got engaged with, I love the history of the civil rights movement, which I learned about a lot here, being in close proximity to Shaw and doing some outreach there. There's just too many to talk about. It's just been phenomenal.
Well, that's a great list. And for those of you that question the expense of that rock wall in the new Carmichael, you should go and see the renovation for Carmichael.
I will.
It's phenomenal.
They gave me a gym pass.
Yeah.
I'm going.
No, they didn't.
I asked for one.
Wow.
I'm running that blue track again.
Well, the track is there, but there's a new track.
Oh,
and
okay.
You'll. Thank you so much, Christina. Thank you for
you.
coming back. Thank you for everything that you do for our country and for the way that you represent NC State to so many people that are aspiring to walk in similar shoes, not the same, but similar. You're a shining example for our students, for our state, and as I said, for our university. And good luck on your travels beyond just our little blue planet. And we really appreciate all of you coming out to Stewart Theater today. And those of you watching online, thank you so much for being part of this. And thank you for all you all do on behalf of NC State University, the great Think and Do University. Enjoy this homecoming week. Have a little ice cream and go Pack.